Did you know you can knit a slouchy shrug from a plain old square? Today I'm going to show you how to knit this beginner-friendly cozy cocoon cardigan. For this pattern, you'll need about 350 yards of a super bulky to jumbo weight yarn, like this Ice Yarns Superwash Wool Chunky. A great alternative is Red Heart Grande, and I used about 4 balls of this yarn. I also used a 15mm US 19 circular needle. With about a 30-inch cord, you'll need a cord long enough to hold about 58 stitches for the adult extra small to medium size that I'll be demonstrating today. To begin with a long tail, make a slip knot, place it on your needle, and we'll use the long tail cast on method to cast on 58 stitches. Grab both strands in your left hand, separate the strands, make a heart, and work under, over, under to pull through a loop. And if you need a refresher on the long tail cast on, I'll have a link to my how to knit video in the info cards and description box. So we've cast on the 58 stitches, and now it's time to work in stockinette. Turn your work to begin working flat, and the first row is the wrong side row because of these little purl bumps here, created by the cast on. And I think the other side looks more right-sidey, so I like to begin with the purl side. Bring the yarn to the front, and I like to stabilize the yarn with my thumb since I knit continental style. Insert your right needle into the first stitch purlwise, back to front. Wrap the needle to purl one. Purl all stitches of row 1. And I'll also have a link to my video all about purling down below if this part's going a bit fast for you. So we've finished row 1. Row 2 of the stockinette pattern is to knit every stitch. So insert your right needle knitwise, front to back, wrap the needle to knit 1, and knit every stitch of row 2. Repeat rows 1 and 2 for a total of 84 rows. But before you do that, I want to talk a little bit about selvage edges. If you're not crazy about the stockinette edge, you may want to work a selvage edge. This part is totally optional because your work is going to curl anyway, but if you'd like to, starting at row 25, you can slip the first stitch of every row in pattern. Here's me slipping the first stitch on the purl side. And here's how you slip the first stitch on the knit side. Do this for a total of 36 rows, and then work the remaining 24 rows normally. But like I mentioned, this is totally optional since the edges will most likely be hidden anyway. Then, once you've got your 84 rows, it's time to bind off. And even though this is the purl side, I'm going to knit my bind off just because I don't like purling very much. So to do the basic bind off, knit the first stitch, knit the second stitch, and then pass the first stitch over the second stitch. Then knit the next stitch, pass the first stitch over, and repeat until you've bound off all of your stitches. Fasten off leaving a bit of a tail so we can use it for seaming. Now let's see what we've got. You'll have this big square of stockinette fabric. I've got my tails perfectly positioned for seaming either side. The edges are all curly, but that's how we want it. And with the purl side up, right side down, you'll fold your square in half. And we're going to use the mattress stitch to seam up from the corners here towards the fold line, leaving an opening for the sleeves. And when you've got it all seamed, it looks like this, with the armholes here and here. And your head will come out of the top here. Now I've already seamed this sleeve, and you can see the armhole opening and this beautiful seamless mattress stitch. It looks perfect on the knit side, and then on the back you get this little I-cord looking seam, which will show a bit while you're wearing the shrug. To do the mattress stitch, you'll want the right side facing you. Find the kind of funny looking stockinette edge, and then find the first V-shaped looking knit stitch next to it. When you separate the little V's, you'll see ladders between them, and that's where we'll be seaming. So I'm going to fasten on with the tail of the opposite side, just into that first stitch here. And I'm going to find the ladders on the opposite side. My first V-shaped knit stitches next to the edge stitches is this column right here. So I'm going to separate those stitches to find the ladder in the middle and thread my tail under the ladder. And this yarn is chunky enough that I'm just seaming with my fingers. No giant tapestry needle required. Find the next ladder on the other side and thread the tail under it. Find the next ladder and thread. And if you have a big crochet hook, you could also use that to help you get your yarn under those ladders. Here's a bit better angle of the seaming. You can see how I find the edge, find the ladder, and thread the yarn under it, working back and forth, seaming your two pieces together. You'll seam the edges together from the corners up towards the fold line for a total of 24 rows, or 10 inches. And if your seam is gapping like this, you can draw it closed and just stretch it out so it's not too scrunched. Now this is where working the selvage edge comes in handy. I can see exactly when I'm done seaming, once the prettier selvage edge appears. And then you can weave your ends into the seam. Now let's check out what we've got. You can see by seaming these corners together, it's shaped the slouchy sleeves and made this little rolled collar up here. And all that's left is to try it on. The piece is symmetrical, so you can just slip your arms in the holes. Forgive those little ends that I'm too lazy to weave in. And here's how she looks. Covers the booty. And now you are swathed in woolly blanket goodness. I hope you enjoy this pattern, and I've got instructions for sizes from toddler through 5XL over on my website, plus a downloadable printable PDF version of the pattern, so that'll all be linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!